station. Channel 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
Good afternoon. That breaking news alert comes to us from the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. Sheriff Rutherford just announced 4 arrests in a squatter's case. The sheriff says these people who move into somebody's houses they don't own. Channel 4's Jim Pickett joins us live from downtown with more. Jim, these are houses in foreclosure.
Houses in foreclosure, and the sheriff says that these people were actually stealing. Now, what had happened here, this is something we've been following for several months here, and some of these names are going to sound familiar to you. Warren Lee, who was a former candidate for mayor here in Jacksonville, has been arrested. And another man, Marcellus Dunbar, who's been arrested before for some adverse possession cases, they're looking for him again. Plus, 2 other people have been arrested on this. Now, the sheriff says that this was a mastermind project where these people would move in, take over houses that were in foreclosure, act as if they were their own, and in some cases, rent them out again. Here's what he just said at this news conference.
We're here to announce a few arrests that occurred over the weekend on a case that has been very complicated. We have charged 4 individuals with charges stemming from their scheme to defraud people by presenting property as their own and then renting it to others. 3 have been arrested and 1 remains at large. The problem is they rented property that they never really owned. They were living in them or presenting them as their own. They squatted there. Changed the locks, and then in some instances rented these properties to other people.
And looking at these are million-dollar homes. The ones that for here in Jacksonville with the sheriff, a lot of these were up on the north side, along the river on the north side up there. Some beautiful homes out there that these people would just, according to the sheriff's office, would move in and take them over. Neighbors had complained about that in the past and was wondering what was going on, and their investigation led to this. That's when we first started looking into this, and that's when we were introduced to Marcellus Dunbar, who did the same thing in Clay County, where he's been arrested for that. As a Navy family was moving into a home, he had also moved in and claimed that this house was his. He's been going through the court proceedings there as well. And now over the weekend, the sheriff tried to rearrest him, but they've not been able to find him. As for Warren Lee and the others, they're due in court later this afternoon. This is a story we're going to be following throughout the day, and we'll have more details for you a little bit later on. For now, we're live at the Sheriff's Department. Jim Pickett, Channel 4, the local station.
Jim, I was watching a closed-circuit feed of that news conference that was going on back in the newsroom, and Angela Corey said, "We are coming after you next. This is about getting around the law. It's stealing." The implication being that there might be other squatters out there?
Oh, they say that there are definitely other cases out there that they're looking into. They want to make sure they're handling this correct, because adverse possession, it is a legal proceedings, but these people were going about it the wrong way, at least according to Angela Corey and the Sheriff's Department. When I've checked this out in the past, there were about 17, 18 cases here just in Duval County. And, this is a 7-year process to go through before you can actually get that property. It hasn't been that long that they have been filed. So there are a number of cases out there that they are looking into.
Jim Pickett, more to be told on this story. Join Jim for that tonight starting at 5 and on News4Jax.com. Thank you, Jim. Florida lawmakers want to spend $2 million to put up signs that will warn drivers about dangerous conditions. House and Senate budget negotiators met Sunday night and made the move in the wake of a horrific crash on Interstate 75 that left 11 dead. Fog and smoke were to blame. The initial plan was to spend money on signs in Alachua County, but lawmakers decided to add signs the entire state. Communities across the South and Midwest still assessing the damage from a series of violent storms that left dozens dead. CNN's Chris Welch is in Henryville, Indiana, one of the hardest hit parts of the country, with more on the recovery and the cleanup.
A fresh blanket of snow covers debris left by a violent storm outbreak that hit Henryville, Indiana. Like many communities across the South and Midwest, residents here are just beginning to pick up the pieces.
I know we have to go forward, and wherever that road takes, we'll soon find out.
2 tornadoes hit the town, including a powerful EF4 with winds of up to 200 miles per hour.
God, we gotta get in the house.
The storm destroyed homes and businesses and struck a school complex. Henryville was in the path of a powerful storm system that unleashed at least 42 tornadoes across 10 states Friday. In a nearby town, an entire family of 5 was killed. 14-month-old Angel Babcock was taken off life support Sunday.
We've been through a lot. Everything. Anything anyone can imagine.
As the focus turns to helping the survivors, National Guard troops have been deployed in Indiana and Kentucky, while Good Samaritans are donating what they can.
When something like this happens, everybody wants to help, pull together to help each other out, and that's what it's all about.
Indiana State Police say they have no idea how many people were left homeless, but it's clear residents here and across the country face a long road to recovery.
President Obama this weekend called the governors of the states affected by these tornadoes, pledging to offer federal assistance if needed. And on that same note, FEMA will be on the ground today assessing damage. Reporting from Henryville, Indiana, I'm Chris Welch.
And the Red Cross is an agency that, of course, always helps out in these types of disasters. They're a good way to go if you'd like to make a donation. You can visit the local Red Cross office over there on Riverside Avenue or call 1-800-RED-CROSS or on the World Wide Web, redcross.org. Now, the people who live in Joplin, Missouri know all too well what kind of devastation tornadoes can bring about. It was a year ago. A deadly tornado swept through that community, killed 160. President Obama has plans to travel to the still recovering region. He's going to speak at the Joplin High School graduation on May 21st. 12:06 and Rich, we were sitting here, we were looking at the devastation. In some communities, the weather didn't hold out. Snow to add insult on top of the devastation, making recovery and attempts to rebuild and pick up the pieces of their lives that much more difficult.
Yeah, can you imagine one day you're in shorts and T-shirts ahead of that frontal boundary, and behind it, after the wake of tornadoes, the multiple tornadoes, you've got snow to wake up to, freezing temperatures, and that's what you have to get out there and resume, in some cases, the cleanup. Our forecast on the opposite end of these spectrums, you know, we did have some rough and tumble weather on Saturday. We saw some explosive weather that John, Rebecca, and Blake, fantastic job taking you through that on Saturday, especially Rebecca's insight on some of the smaller areas, the areas that she grew up near in Brunswick, Darien, Glencoe, giving us some of the idea of what was happening on the ground as the storm was moving through, so kudos to them. Meanwhile, our forecast here, I get to report to you some sunny and breezy conditions. 72 right now. We're on our way to seeing 73. It looks like we may top that by a degree or so, but still staying in those lower 70s, low to mid 70s, even during your 5 o'clock hour. 71 degrees. For tonight, cool evening, 58 degrees. We'll see those skies clearing back out, giving us some stars. Mars will be viewable for this evening, and also that big old moon out there for tonight. Temperatures inland right now, we've got 72 showing up there on the screen, 72 at the airport, west side, and NAS at Orange Park, the trifecta there. Look at the winds up to 20 miles an hour here at JAA, 16 and 17 mile an hour winds between the west side and NAS at Orange Park. And your forecast out to the beach is still breezy here with that westerly flow. Temperatures upper 60s and lower 70s already. We'll talk about these warmer temperatures and the ones that are going to stay here throughout the work week coming up in about 10 minutes. Bruce, back to you.
Thank you, Rich. A local mom accused of allowing 2 men to rape her 6-year-old daughter in exchange for drugs. Delina Nicholas still in jail in Columbus, Georgia. She will be returned, extradited to Jacksonville Beach this week to face charges. Police say the 39-year-old sold her daughter in exchange for crack. 2 men accused of having sex with the 6-year-old, Nicholas's daughter, Quinn Brooks and John Higgins. Both men are charged with rape. The Department of Children and Families continuing its investigation as well. Right now, the girl is in the care of relatives in this area. We're just a day away from the day thousands of voters will be headed to the polls in hopes of bringing one presidential hopeful a step closer to the nomination. The Ohio Republican primary is one of the key races tomorrow, and a new NBC News Marist poll shows it'll be a tight one. Rick Santorum, Mitt Romney running neck and neck. Only 2 percentage points you can see separate them, with Rick Santorum having the edge right now. Now they're followed by former House Speaker Newt Gingrich at 15%, Texas Congressman Ron Paul with 13% of the vote. In that contest, Ohio, there are 66 delegates up for grabs. The other big races include Georgia, Tennessee, and Virginia. 10 states voting, 437 delegates on the line. Coming up tomorrow at 9, Channel 4 will provide an election special to explain how the race for the White House is shaping up after the Super Tuesday vote. We'll, of course, have complete election results on the 10 o'clock news and newsforjax.com as well. Want to help you get ready for tax season. Uncle Sam tonight is going to be here. Well, not Uncle Sam will be here. We want to help you get ready for Uncle Sam with our tax help hotline. Members of H&R Block will be here taking your calls, answering your tax questions. Make sure you've got your paperwork and W-2s handy. Our tax hotline will be manned from 5 till 7 o'clock tonight. Whether or not teenagers overindulge may be influenced in part by what they see in the movies. Coming up, what new research says about the types of movies teens watch and binge drinking. And an early morning earthquake shakes a California town. How big that quake was and how much damage was done.
Got the radar beams out making the sweep. We're coming up with just a little ground clutter. Other than that, we are dry here for the start of our work week. Some nice temperatures out there. We'll talk about the warm-up to come for the work week and that weekend forecast. We'll dive in coming up after the break.
Wake up with the morning show. We'll get your day started right.
Buying a new car is a huge